And we're coming to you live for the Built Fuller Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcasts across the country on CBS Sports Network and wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Thursday morning baseball yesterday. Yes, positive baseball. Happy Mets fans. Happy Yankees fans. Cody Bellinger stays with the New York Yankees, signing a deal that I think both sides are happy with. And the Mets, I've been yelling about, fix the rotation. Get one of those guys. Get someone you can trust, a veteran pitcher who's got a track record, and put him at the top of the rotation. That is the one thing that was left, and David Stearns did that, gave two prospects that we have heard of before in the deal in Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams, but Freddy Peralta is an ace. He pitches. He's always out there, had a fantastic year last year. So I was just picturing all the Mets fans that had canceled their season ticket plans sitting in their homes yesterday with their polar bear shirts, calling back the ticket rep, going, oh, by the way, never mind. I'm back in. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. Yeah, good news for the Mets for sure, and good news for the Yankee fans out there. I think we've been talking patience for the last 2 months, I feel like, and saying let's wait until we get to spring training, until we see what the team looks like, and then we can decide whether or not we're just going to tar and feather David Stearns. And David Stearns has, had quite the week, as Steve Cohen posted on X, and it feels like the team is really coming together. It feels like the team is whole. There are going to be some obvious fan favorites that are not here, but I'm sure you're going to like some of these players that they're bringing in and the way that they play baseball and the whole idea behind what David Stearns has been trying to do. I think it's funny. He's been saying the same thing since he's got here, and he's talking about this whole defensive nature of the game and how important that is to the game, but you try to match like a really good defensive player with a guy that's also offensively, he's going to be productive and he's going to get key hits and they're going to get key runs and they're going to know how to play baseball and they're not going to, throw the ball all over the infield. That's kind of like the idea of what he was trying to do. And then he also realized that they couldn't win with the core that they had here and that there was definitely 100%, we all know it, a problem in that locker room. So they had to fix it. And so this is right now, I would say 98% of the team, if not more. I wouldn't be surprised if they had another reliever or something. They get the 40-man roster. They had to move some guys off of that roster to make room for these guys. And they ended up trading Brandon Sproat, which is okay. The guy came up and he showed something last year. And then all of a sudden people took notice. And a team like Milwaukee knows that they can't sign Peralta next year when he becomes a free agent. So the Mets get him this year for $8 million, which means that he fits right into, whatever they're trying to do with the salaries. And it's a good thing. It's a good feeling to be a Met fan this morning because now I feel like our team is whole.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. I've been excited about most of these moves that they have made, and I think that it's one thing to identify the problem. It's the other thing to do the right things to fix it. But as we sit here today, I agree with the moves that are to fix it. But then again, we also liked what they did at the trade deadline last year, and all of that ended up being a disaster. And sometimes you just don't know. I mean, we never expected Helsley to come here and forget how to pitch.
Well, I mean, think about this. They got a starting center fielder that they tried to acquire last year, that he's an all-around baseball player. And I would imagine that when he goes to spring training this year and he steps on the fields down there at Port St. Lucie, that he is going to be feeling reinvigorated, that he's actually on a team that's trying to win, as opposed to being with the White Sox and being a cellar dweller and having nobody come to the to the stadiums. And, as the White Sox were the doormat of one of the doormats of Major League Baseball the last few years. So I would think he's going to be reinvigorated. I got to believe Marcus Simeon's going to love coming here and playing in New York. I would think the same thing for Peralta starting. I know he probably thinks of himself as an ace, but Nolan McLean is going to be right there with him.
Well, let's hope. Yeah, I mean, Freddy Peralta's got a longer track record of being a top-of-the-rotation starter, but Nolan McLean showed, everything that you want. So, yeah, I don't even care who is pitching opening day or who's one, who's two. Just both those guys be great. And then you're thinking, all right, now we don't need as much out of Cody Senga. Before Freddy Peralta comes here, you're like, God, you need a really good year out of Cody Senga.
It goes to number 4, number 5 now.
Yeah, you drop him down, and you're not expecting as much, and maybe that's exactly what he needs. But, yeah, I mean, everything just feels so much better with Freddy Peralta at the top of that rotation.
They have eight starters coming back, which is what you need. Basically that's what you need. Maybe one of those guys goes into the bullpen for a long relief or something like that. You never know.
And Tobias Myers is one of those guys, too.
Right, and somebody can get hurt along the way. Somebody will get hurt along the way. That's just the nature of the sport. But, they're going with a few older guys, which I don't mind on short-term deals. I think Bo Bichette is, you could just tell by his energy and his personality that he's going to be great for this team. I don't know. It feels a hell of a lot better than it did 3 weeks ago. I can tell you that. We kept telling everybody, just wait and wait and wait. It's not they're going to sit on and do nothing. And certainly they have remade this baseball team. They should be better defensively. Hopefully they're better and more clutch offensively. And hopefully their pitching staff, a couple guys have bounced back seasons, and their pitching staff is going to be one of the better pitching staffs in Major League Baseball with the addition now of Freddy Peralta.
Yeah, one of the things that just disappears, one of the takes that has to disappear that no one can have anymore is one that was driving us crazy, which was the Steve Cohen only bought the Mets because he wanted a casino, and David Stearns is a small market GM, and he came here to pare down the payroll and make it easier for Steve Cohen to build Metropolitan Park. Bull crap. We told you it was bull crap the entire time. They offered Kyle Tucker $55 million. They front-loaded this Bo Bichette deal. They went out and traded prospects to bring in a guy that they're going to hope to sign to big money if he ends up being good for the Mets and Freddy Peralta. I mean, they went and got Luis Robert Jr. So all that nonsense.
You know what that is?
Stop.
It's just
stop.
It's just ignorance.
Yeah.
It's just stupid ignorance of people that don't understand how this whole thing works and how much time the general managers have to get it done, just like the Yankees. Like everybody's worried about, Cody Bellinger. I don't think Cody Bellinger really wanted to go anywhere else. Now, if he could have gotten the Mets to go to 6 years or something like that, maybe that would have happened. But it didn't seem like the Mets wanted to do that with anybody. So I just think that the Mets have a short term, kind of like, okay, we're going to get some professional baseball players in here. They're going to be like in the middle of their careers, and they all look like the same when it comes to age and contract length. Do they not?
Yeah.
And so in order to be able to field a team like this, what you're thinking about is how David Stearns is trying to rebuild the feeder system for the Mets, the minor league system. So if you just look at it practically and from a realistic take as opposed to being overly emotional and ignorant about what the hell they're trying to do, then you realize that you can see he's trying to maintain a real competitive team while trying to build the minor league system at the same time.
Yeah, and building that minor league system doesn't just mean that those guys are going to come up and be the future of the team. It means that you can make trades like David Stearns just made. And you don't know if these prospects are going to pan out. So, yeah, Luis Angel Acuna, we had a ton of positive energy around him and a ton of good expectations. Didn't necessarily work out all that much up until this point, but you could trade him and you get Luis Robert Jr. back. Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat, two guys that we're excited about maybe coming up and doing something. We don't know if they were going to be good long-term Mets. We know what they're getting in Freddy Peralta. So when you build that minor league system up, it's not just about having the team of 5 years from now. It's also going out and having the player capital to make trades like this.
That's right. Now, the other thing, too, is they held on to Ronnie Mauricio. They held on to Jonathan.
Yeah.
So those are two young players that still are going to have an opportunity unless they decide to trade for somebody else maybe at the trade deadline. But at least those two players are still here and still are going to have an opportunity. Like Tong was like a little bit of an up and then down, up and down. They say he's got starter, like number one starter stuff. He needs a little bit more growth. He needs a little bit more maturity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they did not want to let him go, so they didn't let him go. Ronnie Mauricio, still, when you see him at bat, as big as he is, you're like, oh, God, this guy's, he's got the opportunity, And maybe they want to give him another shot. They want to see what he looks like. And, if we get to the trade deadline and the Mets are right in the middle of it, they'll probably use those guys for maybe fodder for some other guys to bring in here. So who knows? So I kind of feel like, all right, everybody can take just a big, deep breath and say, you know what? This damn infield is going to be elite depending on how Jorge Polanco fits in at first base. But the other three positions are going to be elite. That's great. Center field, elite. Right field, no arm, but he can hit.
Yeah, I mean, everybody talks about up-the-middle defense, right? So the Mets right now, on paper, with shortstop, second base, and center field, have all up-the-middle elite defenders.
So what does that mean? That means that Francisco Alvarez has got to have a breakout year. That means Luis Torrens, their catching, tandem should be good enough. And hopefully Francisco Alvarez, starts showing more offensive pop in his bat and more consistent pop in his bat. But when I look at this team now I'm like, okay, I get it. Now I see what they've done, and here it is. It's Lindor leading off, Soto, Bichette, Polanco, Semien, Beatty, Robert Jr., Alvarez, and then the big question is going to be left field. Now, I would imagine that they're going to have, I'm thinking Beatty maybe like working out there, I would imagine. But, that's going to be this kid Carson Bench. That's the big, either hole or question mark, however you want to put it.
Yeah, and he's going to have spring training to win that job. And it's not his right now. We are assuming, or a lot of people are assuming, that that's what the Mets want to do out in left field, but he's still going to have to do it in spring training. He can't have a miserable spring and he just won that job. He's got to prove it.
It's just not easy. Like, if it is Beatty or Vientos or whoever they may want to put out there, it's just not easy going from a position that, you're not used to playing if you are an infielder and then going out to left field and having balls hit right at you.
Yeah.
It's a completely different set of circumstances. Like, I remember I used to argue with Carton about, his whole thing was about anybody can play first base. Anybody can play first base. It's so easy to play first base. I'm like, come on, man. It's not easy to play first base. Look at the run prevention numbers for Pete Alonso. And he was one of the best first basemen in Met history.
Well, yes, offensively.
But I'm just saying, that's the point. Like, you can't just put anybody over there.
Sure.
That guy that plays that position, and hopefully Jorge Polanco can become that guy, he's got to be able to save runs by digging balls out of the dirt, making double plays, turning double plays, throw the ball to the pitcher covering first base. There's a lot of things, catching foul balls. There's a lot of things that go into that position.
I mean, that right there is a little bit of a hypocrisy when we're talking about what David Stearns said about run prevention. Yeah, Pete Alonso had some bad defensive metrics, but Jorge Polanco's barely played first base. So you're really counting on a guy to be better than that who's really never played the position. So there's a couple of those things happening.
That also could be a Beatty spot, and Polanco could be a DH. Yeah. I mean, that could be a Vientos spot. That could be, any. Again, they'll try the athletes.
Positional flexibility.
That's what you need, man. How many times have I told you that?
Yeah, every day, almost every day.
When I was building our softball team here at WFAN, I was looking at positional flexibility.
That's right. You need guys who can do multiple things.
You were looking at me, Al, Gio, Gunnar on the bench.
Pretty much.
Yep, that's right.
You know why? Because it's about winning. I was the John Harbaugh of WFAN softball. We didn't go out there want to embarrass ourselves, but you guys got your innings. Like, I gave you innings. I remember Al played a lot of third base.
I did get innings at third base.
And by the way,
sure.
Joe G wanted to play third base, and I put you in there instead of him.
That is true, yep.
And that is a big deal because Joe G is a
I can't be bought is basically
player.
what it comes down to.
Sometimes if it's the foundation, maybe.
No. Well, he's a very big supporter of the foundation.
I'm saying.
But I'm just saying, like, hey, you're a catcher. You're alternating with Eddie. I need Al over there at third base because he was like a vacuum when he was playing there. Look at him. Look at those. Look at him over there.
He's shaking his hand.
He looks like Brooks Robinson in that uniform.
Oh, yeah, look at him blocking the ball.
He blocks the ball. He knows to step on the base. Like I used to tell him all the time when I was pitching, I look over to him, I say, if the ball gets hit to you, what are you doing with it? That's what you should be asking yourself.
He knew. I mean, Little League, where he didn't get a hit, he still knew where to go. The ball goes. That's right.
And that's why his defensive metrics were good for us.
Yes, and that's what David Stearns loves to see. And for the Yankees, this was the only thing that they were going to do. This was it. They needed to get Cody Bellinger back into the mix. They got Cody Bellinger back into the mix. And I know it's the same team as last year, and you feel like last year was a failure. But over the course of the regular season, this team had one of the best records in the league.
They were good. They were a real good team.
So they're getting Garrett Cole back. So the Yankees are going to be right there. Is it exciting offseason? No. But they've got so many pieces already in place. But once Trent Grisham took that money and ended up accepting the $22 million from the Yankees, that was going to hamper them from doing a ton this year. But if they would have lost Cody Bellinger, this morning would have been all the Yankee fans would have gotten out of bed and started screaming about this, and they didn't. And I actually think the Yankees might have given a little bit of the business to the Mets announcing that in the middle of the Bo Bichette press conference.
So the other interesting thing too is like, what are they doing at first base? Is that Ben Rice? Is that going to be him? Like that? Listen. He had his moments last year. Mm-hmm. He had his moments, and so did Trent Grisham, by the way. And by the way,
Trent Grisham had a great year. Can he do it again?
The back half of the year wasn't great. The first part of the year was great. He was one of the guys that was carrying the team, and one of the reasons why they were winning as much as they were. But again, he is a terrific center fielder. He's a great defender. So you have right field locked up, and then it really comes down to left field now. And is that going to be Jason Dominguez? Is he ready to take it over?
Yeah,
so you have two young guys that you're really, really counting on, and you're hoping that Anthony Volpe has been working his butt off at shortstop and that he's going to come back and have a much better offensive season. I personally, I'm not saying that he is, but I'm just thinking like when they traded for Marcus Semien, I was really happy about that. Okay, Brandon Nimmo wanted out. They sent him away to a place that he wanted to go. And you bring in Marcus Semien, that's a baseball player that, you want Anthony Volpe to turn into. You want him to become that type of player.
Sure. I mean, if Anthony Volpe's still playing at 35 years old at the level that Marcus Semien is, that's a huge Major League Baseball career.
I would just say that Anthony Volpe's still a kid. He's still got a lot of growing to do, and I know he cares. I know he gives a crap. I know he wants to be great. And he's stepping into huge – anybody playing shortstop for the Yankees is stepping into huge shoes once again.
Of course.
And he'll be under the microscope in spring training, and who knows? Maybe they're not done. Maybe they're looking at making another move. You never know.
You never know, but it feels like they're done because of the hard cap that Hal Steinbrenner has given Brian Cashman. All right, Boomer and Gio, just getting started on this Thursday morning. We got Jerry Recco back